What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Z here at aka the Lover Boy Drew, and in today's video I'll be showing you guys how to use flex pitch inside of Logic Pro. Now, if you've ever recorded a vocal and thought that note is a little bit too sharp or it's a little bit flat, flex pitch is one of the best stock tools Logic gives you to fix those issues without buying any third-party plugins. It's Logic's built-in pitch editing system that allows you to tune vocals, adjust vibrato, fix pitch drift, change note timing, and even adjust formants. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to get cleaner, more professional sounding vocals using only Logic. So let's jump straight into this. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is select a vocal track that you want to edit. Then I'm going to hit Command F on my keyboard, and I'm going to select this drag down button right here and select flex pitch. Now, what it's doing right now is it's going to analyze every single audio that we have, so that way it can detect which note blocks it wants to create based off of the pitch. Then after that, I want to double click on the vocal region and open up my audio track editor. And from there, I'm also going to click this button right here, so that way it can show every single note that it analyzed. Now, when you have flex pitch open, it's going to look something similar to this. And when you hover over a note, it'll have 6 points on it. As you can see, each note has its own 6 points. Each one has its own different thing. So in the far left corner, this point right here is going to be pitch drift. This will be your entry note drift that you want to fix. So let's say you started the note off a little bit sharp, but everything else was fine. What I would do is I would turn down this pitch drift right here, so that way I can get that note similar to the rest of the note phrase. Then when you go into the middle, fine pitch, that is to make your note more on key. Then on this right corner at the top, we also have pitch drift again, but instead of it being the entry note, it is now the exit note. So let's say that I gave up and now my note is a little bit flat at the end. Well, what I can do is I can drift this part up or down, so that way I can make it more on key with the rest of everything. Then at the bottom left, that we have a gain button, which I highly recommend people use. Let's say I have a part that I sang that was just way too loud when I started it, and I don't want to have to worry about my compressor working overdrive. I would tune, or rather I would turn down the vocal part right here up or down, so that way it can be at a level so where when I do end up adding a compressor, everything was pretty much the same. Then in the middle right here, we have the vibrato control. So let's say the person that you have coming in is a little too vibrato-y and you want them to have a more on straight note. What you can do is you can make it more straight, or you can add more vibrato, so that way it can sound more, wobbly. And then in the bottom right, we have formant shift. Now, normally I don't use formant shift. However, if the beat is detuned, I will end up using the formant shift, because let's be honest, if you're using it and your A note is not even at 440 and it's usually at like a 429 or something, that formant shift comes in handy. So we don't really touch this button right here. At least for singers, we don't really touch this button as much, but it is there just in case you want to make this note sound like a different note. Now, keep in mind, 100 cents equals 1 semitone. So I just formant shifted this 100 cents. So I went up already 1 semitone. I can keep going up, or I can keep going down as many times as I want. So now we have a general idea of what each button does. I am going to now go through this audio clip right here and flex pitch this entire phrase. So let me go back, make sure that I didn't do anything. Make sure that my formant shift is not at 126. Let's go back to 0. Now, one key thing that I always recommend people do is, if you want everything to be straight on, what you can do is you can select everything like I just did, and you can double click, which makes everything be perfectly tuned. Now, instead of you having to go through and fine pitch everything, that's what that will do for you. And then also listen to it so that way you make sure that you're not getting rid of your emotion that you just did on this project.
Was craving some kind of old-fashioned love, and now that you're here.
So right here, on this note right here, this love, I feel like I could have did it a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on this note so that way it can become straight on. Play it again.
Love, and
now I don't like that because now it's too on note. We're going to go back to what it was. Sometimes when it's a half in between note, it'll usually always go up. I want this one to go down, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click it one more time, and I'm going to drag the note down manually.
Love, and now that you're here.
Boom. I also think that this vibrato we can come down just a little bit, so we're going to play with that and turn it down to maybe 78%.
Fashion love, and now that you're.
And now this note sounds a little bit more natural. This sounds like something that I would sing when I am live compared to in the studio. So now that we have this a little bit more natural, we're going to keep going through and seeing. I have a lot of tracks that are hidden. Let me go and mute these real quick.
And now that you're here, I'm not gonna waste you. I've taken some years to craft this patience. I've swallowed the bitterness and brought some richness with a little pepper.
So right here on that pepper, like I said, it's a little bit pitchy, so I'm going to fix that.
Pepper, one shot to.
It's a little bit too much of a vibrato-y, so we're going to turn that down again. Go about 72. And again, make sure you trust your ears because you don't want to get rid of the emotion that the person who's saying it displayed. You want to make sure you make the note correct, but also still keep that emotion.
Ooh, pepper, one shot to
the pepper part is also a little bit flat, so I'm going to double click it again so that way I can make it more on note.
Pepper, one shot to the heart.
I think that the entry note of this right here is a little bit too sharp, so I'm going to come down and bring it just a little bit, about -20.
Ooh, pepper, shot to the heart wasn't enough, love. Keep pouring into me with your sweet.
This right here, I'm going to fix. Make it more on note.
Keep pouring into me with your sweet.
I think that I'm a little bit sharp on this, so I'm going to come down on it just a little bit.
Keep pouring into me with your sweetness.
And I think that the vibrato on this, the sustain rather, is a little bit too much too, so I'm going to also come down on that.
Keep pouring into me with your sweetness. Darling, you can.
Now this exit part is also a little bit sharp, so I'm going to come down a little bit.
Keep pouring into me with your sweetness. Darling, you can see how much you mean to me.
Right there on that me, I'm going to make that a little bit more on note.
Me. Me.
Too much. Maybe come down on this entry a little bit.
Too
Actually, I think that it's a little bit more flat than anything, so I'm going to actually come up a little bit on this. And this exit note is also flat, so we're going to come up on this bit. I can come up a little bit more on this. Now it sounds more natural. So we're going to play this part one more time.
How much you mean to me.
And again, note that I didn't correct every single note, just parts that I felt like could have been a little bit stronger. Again, our goal isn't to make it perfect. Our goal is to make sure that we can keep the emotion that we need, but also fixing certain notes so that way it can be more palatable on the listener's ear. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for us today in this video. If it helped you out, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, as it does support this channel. Be sure to drop a comment and let me know what other Logic Pro tutorials you guys want to see next, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.